we do this? It's not even a driving game.
My controller isn't even on.
Hey guys, I've got some news.
What news? Is it hot, wet news?
No.
Ow, I hit myself in the testicles.
Crash is hard. It's confirmed. Crash is hard.
What? Wait, is that really a thing? What? Check the facts! I want to see the facts. I don't believe him.
I mean,
Oh
I
God,
can find out.
if this is true, then we need to get in the studio now. But the studio's busy. We're just going to do it here. News! Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Jules, here with Scott.
Hello.
And we're not in the studio today because it's being very
It's just really busy, isn't it?
It's been booked up to Kingdom Come. So what we're going to do is just do some news here on the lovely Twitch Culture Couch.
Because there was something that couldn't wait.
Yeah, so we've just been informed by our blonde-haired brethren, Ben, that Crash is hard and...
Well, we did a previous video on this that did very, very well, which hopefully you guys have seen, remember, and all that kind of thing, where we played Crash for a couple of days and we thought, it feels a bit wrong, it feels a bit off.
Yeah, I remember lots of times where I'd be jumping off, I'd be hitting ledges and sort of sliding off and things like that. There was definitely something a little bit quirky with his movements.
Which made a whole lot of fans start delving into the code and start to pick apart the hitboxes and the level design and all that kind of thing. And turns out that actually the new versions of the game are different. We've now had confirmation from Activision's Kevin Kelly speaking on their official blog saying that the new Sane Trilogy is actually different and harder than the originals.
Oh, so it's not just us then?
It is not just us. I feel so vindicated and just like, yeah, it's not us. It wasn't harder back in the day, it's harder now.
To be fair though, you do have difficulty accepting any problem that could be you.
Potentially, but at this time, not this time.
Not this time.
Not this one time.
Okay, well, but how are they actually explaining that then? Because they said that they took the level geometry, they took everything else.
Yes.
I know that there was some hitbox issues, but what's the actual quotes that they put out to?
So they basically broke down. I mean, the whole thing. Obviously, it's been out for about a month-ish now.
Yeah.
And so it's been quite a big debate as to just how many things have changed. So the guy Kevin Kelly kind of breaks down the different aspects of like the major talking points from the discussion itself.
Yeah.
So he's talking about Crash's handling, and he says that they did a whole lot of user feedback to try and get the right idea of how Crash should move, and they settled on Crash 3's movement and applied that across the whole trilogy.
Which we did argue.
thought.
We said, okay, that's the kind of the lesser of two evils because Crash 3 had obviously the most moveset capabilities, so why not base all the other three games on it rather than having three completely different control styles?
Yeah, which is like, we kind of hashed that out, but it's like, it's still, I mean, that's the whole thing. It then invites the idea of like, well, you've got Crash 3's moveset with Crash 1's level design, and already that's maybe potentially jarring.
Gel as well. Yeah.
But the most interesting thing is he has a whole chunk on collision detection and physics.
Right, okay. Just ignore that, our lights will go out.
If our lights freak out, it's just what they do. And he talks about how they've heard some questions from the audience, and they said, our game engine does feature a different collision system than the original game, which combined with the addition of physics, certain jumps require more precision than the originals. Which...
What? That's basically just full-on admitting fault that...
It depends if it's a fault, because like, I
think that the amount of lives that I've lost on the high road is definitely an issue.
He says, much like the handling, we iterated on collision and physics throughout development to make it fair for all players and as faithful to the original games as possible.
Right.
Which is hypocrisy, because you've just said that it's harder than the originals. So I get that they were trying to make it as faithful as possible, but then it's harder. See, the thing with this is that at some point it feels a little bit like damage control.
Well, the thing is that their marketing campaign was pretty much 100% based around nostalgia. They said these are the same games now in 4K, which I will never forgive the marketing division that came up with that.
In a way, it's genius.
But at the same time, them now saying, okay, there actually is a lot of differences, it still doesn't ruin the game for me. I still think that these are fantastically competent games. However, muscle memory wins out when it comes to nostalgia.
Yes, and the thing is, like, considering the property that is at hand and the fact that it's this absolutely ginormous franchise. Hello. The fact that it's just such a sizable franchise with such a huge demographic, people aren't buying this to have this Super Meat Boy Trials-like experience. They're buying it to rekindle their childhood, which they can't do because it doesn't match the originals. This is the thing that put me off it in our original discussions, the thing that makes me want to sell the damn thing. And now that I've read this, like I said, I feel so vindicated.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, well, why would I play this if I can just go buy the originals or I can play the originals?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this makes me feel. I mean, I do feel like it's not down to a skill level for me because I don't know if you guys have heard, I'm trying to 100% every single game in there, and I've done one, and I was 2 golden relics away from 2, and then my PS4 decided to reinitialize, so I'm starting that bad boy again.
A moment of silence.
I'm going to Crash.
4.
I'm going to Crash 3.
You're
I'm
lost.
just leaving that for the moment.
I'll tell you another interesting thing that is part of this is he talks about the increased precision that's necessary to get through the game.
Sure.
And then he says, particularly if you're a new player, you may want to start with the second or third games first and then come back to the first Crash Bandicoot after you've had more practice. For those of you who have played the originals and acquired a fair amount of muscle memory, relearning the handling in our game may present additional challenge that you weren't expecting, but we're sure you're up to the task. So that to me,
I mean, he's used the words muscle memory.
Like you're literally saying like, hey, if you bought this because you were a childhood fan, it's not for you. And if you're buying it as a newcomer, you can't start with the first game.
I wouldn't say that he's saying if you were a fan of this as a childhood in your childhood, don't buy it. It's basically what they are now saying is, yeah, guys, you know those trailers and all the other stuff that we traded on your nostalgia. It's basically just like saying this was actually a new game. Yeah. That's all.
That's kind of my thing is like, well, you know, we had this additional level of challenge that you weren't expecting and whatever. If that was intentional from the get-go, that would have been part of the marketing. Because you could have gone, oh, hey, all you guys that have already played these games ad infinitum, we have some new stuff for you, we have a new level of challenge. Yeah. It should have been part of the marketing because, I mean, we can't be alone in going back to these games and having this feel.
The amount of people that I've spoken to on Twitter that have just said, you know, did this used to be this hard? We've seen the amount of articles that have come out, like saying that this is the same as Dark Souls in difficulty, but which I still dispute. But at the same time,
it's the same feeling, I guess, of just being like, oh my god, I can't get my. For me, it reminds me most of Trials, which is just trying to get past a trial and error thing over and over again. But yeah, like I mean, that's the main takeaway is just like the games were rebuilt from the ground up, and that resulted in different hitboxes, different collision detection, different physics models, and a different overall feel.
I mean, I'm not going to say that this has ruined my experience. Reinitializing my PS4 has ruined my experience, but it's just interesting now how now they've got the sales. It feels like the charade can come down. I mean, I'm not seeing this as bad business practice. In fact, it doesn't make me feel anything other than thank God it wasn't just my lack of skill that.
It's strange. I mean, it's the kind of thing that I kind of wish they'd front loaded and let people know that they have changed.
In an ideal world, that's what they would have done.
But obviously, the realities of marketing and business, they're not going to just be like, hey, this doesn't feel like the thing that you think it feels like, because we need dem sales. So
But there we go. You heard it here first. Crash is hard, and you are totally right.
It's not first. It was on the official blog, but
You heard it here second. That Crash is hard, and it's not your fault. This is the one thing in your life that you can actually just say it's not actually my issues. The rest of them definitely are your issues, but this, not so much.
Yeah.
And for more news and articles like this, then why not swing by whatculture.com for all of your daily updates of goodness with these cheeky chappies and a few more that are hiding around the corner in the studio, which we should have been using. Again, apologies for the lower quality, but hopefully not lacking in energy.
Indeed, we are people.
We are people. As always, I've been Jules.
I've been Scott.
And we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank God. I actually feel so much better now.